Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Cracking Cryptocurrency Market Update. Of course, I'm your host, Justin Wise, lead analyst and co-founder of CrackingCryptocurrency.com. Hopefully, you guys are doing absolutely fantastic today, wherever you happen to be in the world and however you happen to be watching us today, whether that's on the YouTube, the D Live, or the Twitch Nation. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I see you guys in there buzzing pretty furiously. Pretty good day in the markets overall today. As the premium members will notice, I have posted updates for the daily time frame trades that were posted and made some adjustments to those as well, in the sense of setting a second take profit and moving our stop losses to break even on the positions that have already hit TP1. I can see that the Meso time frame super trend, super duper DEMA strategy is performing quite well, continuing to put in nice gains. And I can see from the reactions that people are posting on the trade update messages that you guys are following along with those and making some money. So very happy to see that. Very happy to see that my work is paying off and that you guys are enjoying the automated strategies. Quick updates, I guess, on automated strategies. I am still working pretty well on the VWAP double bounce strategy, getting that automated, and my hope is to have the study and or strategy tester published next week, time allowing. I did make a pretty good breakthrough over the last couple of days with it being able to code the divergence for the QQE mod in. Now, having done that, I have taken a novel approach to coding the divergence. There is a typical way that divergence is done in TradingView Pine. And that is going to be referencing, it's going to be using kind of two commands. One is pivot low or pivot high. It's ta.pivot low or ta.pivot high. And this is a built-in function that returns, that detects when a pivot low or pivot high is forming. It has formed. It updates on the current bar. So unlike, we'll get to this in a second, unlike divergence, there's usually a 2-bar offset. Essentially, you can't really detect divergence the way it's typically done until 2 bars have passed, which means when you actually go to plot the label, and you guys who use time transformation will be very familiar with this, when you go to plot the label, it will plot the divergence label 2 bars in the past. So basically, you won't see the update in real time, and then once 2 bars go by, you'll see that label. This is how time transformation works, and again, this is how normal divergence on almost every indicator that utilizes divergence on TradingView works. But I didn't really like that. So I am attempting a novel approach where instead of comparing the, first off, identifying when a pivot low or pivot high occurs, that's relatively easy. That happens on the bar that it happens, right? So anytime a new high is formed over X number of bars in the past, it'll detect that bar. And then you can simply query the value when that occurs, right? So ta.value when a pivot low happens, and then the actual value of whether the high or the low or the close, whatever you want, on whatever occurrence, this occurrence, the last occurrence. And it's usually utilizing that ability to look at, okay, what was the value of this on the last occurrence, and then what was the value of this on the current occurrence, right? What is the pivot high value now, and what was the value the last time there was a pivot high? And so setting the code to understand that the current pivot high is higher than the previous pivot high or lower than the previous pivot low, and then comparing that against basically the same formulas ran on a momentum oscillator. Essentially, we want to detect a pivot low in the oscillator, and then we want to detect another pivot low in the oscillator, but we want this pivot low to be higher than the previous pivot low while we want price to be lower. All right, this is bullish divergence, and then flip that for bearish divergence. Again, the problem with that is that typically this divergence requires 2 bars to calculate. So I didn't really like that. So what I'm doing is I am taking a different approach where I am taking the sum of the values that surround the previous 3 bars, the previous 5 bars. I'm experimenting with a few different things for accuracy. And so I'm able to produce a strategy with that that has a relatively high hit rate. So 60 to 65%, I quite like that. Depending on the settings that I use, sometimes I can get up to 70 to 72, which is very good for an intraday strategy on BTC. But I do need to make some adjustments to the risk to reward setup. So, and then there's also a little bit of sampling. I do kind of want to detect the divergence on Heikin-Ashi bars. However, as you guys know, backtesting on Heikin-Ashi bars is not accurate because closing price, i.e. entry price, is not going to be accurate. Although high and low prices are accurate on Heikin-Ashi bars. So still a little bit of work to be done, but I'm pretty excited about that. All right, so moving on from that, you guys should be able to see something coming out of that here relatively soon. All right, so we'll get to the charts here in a little bit. Bitcoin is at resistance and stalling out a little bit today. We are putting in a little bit of a doji. Could actually be an inverted hammer candle depending on how we close. We are coming right up to the 200-period exponential moving average and the 26-period Donchian, which I'm going to be showcasing today as the daily baseline for trend confirmation trades. Alts are, I want to obviously point this out, right? And we'll see this in the crypto bubbles, right? So a lot of our top performing alts are up 50%, if not more, all right? And the ones that are still relatively good are still up anywhere from 30 to 40%, okay? So when people are talking about a Santa rally, I want them to understand that we're already up quite a bit, okay? So don't be surprised if we do slump moving into Christmas. It's just as equally possible as if we continue. And honestly, with Bitcoin at resistance, we could see a little bit of a bit of a pullback over the next few days. All right. Okay, so that's kind of all my opening thoughts. Again, shout outs to everybody in the chat. If you guys have any questions or comments, put those in there. I'm not going to be looking at the chat for chart requests just yet. So hold up. We're going to do chart requests toward the end of today's show, but we will get some chart requests in there for you guys so we can look at what you're interested in. Other notes, senior analyst Alexander did post some amazing market analysis for the premium Discord members, and also some great charts for all the community members in the Discord. So make sure to hop over into the Discord. Link is in the description down below if you guys are not in there yet, if you're new to the show, so you guys can check that out. So some amazing finds comparing the values of altcoins against the BTC and against Ethereum to try to determine where, as he says, deep-pocketed investors are doing their accumulation. So very interesting charts, really cool to see, really good finds in there, so make sure to go check that out. All right, with that being said, let's get into the live scene and start breaking down the charts for today's analysis. Don Cannon says, so Justin actually was in prison for a year and not a sabbatical. The finger tattoo gives it away. Yeah, insider trading. I did my time in Club Fed. I've had this finger tattoo since 2019. Oh, I love you guys. All right, so before we begin, just quick shout outs to Ron Legato, as always. First chat comment of the day, Mr. Ether Robert Warner. It's his time, right on Rice. We've got Fetty in here. We've got Tyler Dukacek, right on Rice. Again, Cornholio, Tim A, Don Candon, Dave Rice. Cavano Trade, shout out to you, my friend. Thank you for all your help lately on the double VWAP bounce strategy. Okay, let's get into this. So as you guys can see, I've kind of made the chart a little bit bigger, a little bit cleaner. Hopefully this will be nice for you guys to see. We'll start off as we are wont to do. Let's pull up the weekly chart on BTC USDT. Okay, so the weekly 55 period exponential moving average, we have changed things up a little bit. I am going to be showcasing the CC EMA indicator. I've had a lot of requests to kind of go back to that, and I have been using it a little bit in my personal trading. It's really good for trend confirmation. And again, we are going to be using the 26 period Donchian as well. So shout outs to the almighty Denim Chicken for that recommendation as well. From his, he's done some extensive back testing, one of the best members in our community. So shout outs to him. He's an incredibly profitable trader too. Okay. So just to keep everything in mind, there are a couple of big picture things here that are going on. One, obviously, is that if we look at, I'm not going to pull up the indicator because I don't have it actually all set up. You guys can go check out, I'm sure you guys are familiar with Willy Woo and all his kind of on-chain or fundamental technical analysis for Bitcoin highs and lows. Glassnode is also a fantastic resource as well, MVRV. Just fantastic metrics over there, right? So definitely, if you guys haven't checked out Glassnode, if you're unfamiliar with some of these metrics, highly recommend that you go do that. But here we are on the weekly chart. We do have the Bybit chart pulled open, so let's actually switch that. I do want to switch over to the BTC USD chart on Bitstamp so we can just look at higher term trend analysis and get a little bit more information. Okay, so we are on the downside of the weekly 26 period Donchian, which a lot of people are going to be using as a baseline as well. Some people are going to be using the 60 EMA, the 60 Hall. We are below the 60 Hall. We are above the 60 EMA, as you guys can see here. This is the 55 EMA, so we're using kind of the Fibonacci numbers for the CC EMA, which was the original idea in the first place, and below the 26 period Donchian. So kind of an interesting place here. As you guys can see, the last time, just pointing this out again, the last time that we came down and consolidated around the 55 period exponential moving average, it was a period of accumulation, and Bitcoin did go in to put in a new all-time high following that. We can see the regular traditional markets rallying as well ahead of the news. And although everyone's kind of afraid and scared and panicked, and there are obviously a lot of interesting things out there that could cause kind of widespread endemic system market crashes, not to mention Evergrande, not to mention potential inflation, not to mention the potential rate hikes that are coming in from the Fed in 2022. However, one thing that might be positive for the growth of the market is, although depending on how you feel about this, some individuals from a societal or just societal standpoint, I guess, might be in favor of the Build Back Better plan, which it seems that Joe Manchin has single-handedly killed, or at least certain aspects of it. While that might not be the greatest thing for our society, it might be the good thing. It might be a good thing for the markets and our investments in the short term, because investors tend to get scared anytime the government starts talking about giving away free money to individuals, because that money comes from individuals, and that money, again, that money comes from investors, and that tends to hurt the markets. All right. However, as I talked about as I have been relatively consistent about, actually I've been very consistent about it. I am a long-term bull. I've always found in these markets that being a long-term bull always outperforms and defeats being a long-term bear. Peter Schiff has been a long-term bear for like 20 years now, and I would say that he's not the greatest investor in the world, but it's always good to be positive about life. It's always good to be positive about the markets, especially in the things that you believe in long-term and fundamentally have value, because timing the markets can be good for a trader. However, it's better to have just objective technical trading strategies. That's really the way to do it. But to hold things long term, you have to fundamentally believe in what you're investing in, and you have to have the courage and the conviction to hold these things long term. And therefore, if you have a long-term bullish bias and a positive outlook, you tend to perform better in the markets. One of the key habits of self-made millionaires is positivity. If you are a negative individual, it is very unlikely that you're going to be successful. You have to be positive to be able to manage individuals. You have to be positive to be able to manage yourself. You have to be positive to be able to manage your capital and to traverse these markets, because they can be scary at times. So I'll talk about all this in much more in depth in the PTP course. So anyways, 55 period exponential moving average, we are consolidating here on the weekly time frame for Bitcoin. We would like to see a rally. We would like to see a close back above the 26 period Donchian and a good, nice, bullish engulfing weekly candle, as we've seen the last few times Bitcoin has bottomed. We can see one here. We can see one here on the most recent bottom. And again, here's another pullback in Bitcoin with another bullish engulfing candle. We haven't seen that yet on the weekly time frame. So again, a good key level to watch out here for is going to be 51,579. You could just say 52,000 to make it a little bit easier. A nice, clean weekly break above that level would probably be a herald of higher prices incoming, if not a new all-time high. So key things to watch for. Also remember, though, that should we close below the 55 period weekly EMA or the 60 period weekly EMA, depending on how you're looking at it, which is going to be coming in at 43,672. Let's actually get my data window here. I'll get that number specifically. 43,708 is going to be a short break, and likely, the scariest thing would be a retracement down to the 200 period weekly exponential moving average, which is exactly what happened back during the previous all-time high the previous bull market back in 2017. You guys can see that we corrected all the way down to the 200 period exponential moving average after consolidating again. Here's a couple bounces off the 55 weekly, and then we sink through the 55 to the 100 period. We consolidate there for a long time, and then we have, of course, that November meltdown where we went down to the most recent lows in Bitcoin's history, all the way down in the $3,000 range. Now, the nice thing, and again, here we go. Here's that kind of rally off of the bottoms all the way up to the $13,000 area. And if you guys were back here trading in the 2019s, that was pretty scary. And then, of course, we have the March meltdown where we actually almost hit those lows again, but we did recover relatively quickly. But again, notice the key levels here: the 100 period exponential moving average, the 200 period exponential moving average. These are very key levels for Bitcoin. And where do we see those levels right now? Well, we see the 100 period exponential moving average down at 35,000 and the 200 period exponential moving average down at 24,000. Now, I've seen some reports talking about how Bitcoin could slump to 12,000. I don't think that's, while that is possible, again, with another situation like the March meltdown, I think the key levels to watch for here in the case of a Bitcoin break, looking for the bull market to be over and looking for the bear market to begin and kind of the crypto winter to begin, which nobody wants, but these things happen. And just on the outset, if this is your guys' first crypto winter, let me explain something to you. Crypto winter is a very good thing, right? It is very possible that we're at the period of peak market froth. It is possible that we're at the period where the bull market is not really going to continue anymore. You're not going to be able to get those, 500x gains, those 10x gains, those 50x gains. That those are mostly illusory and transitory right now. You can see with the NFT market and the DeFi space, I see a lot of hustlers looking for suckers right now. I'm seeing increased rug pulls. I'm seeing increased shitcoins being promoted on BSC and all of these networks that are new. And while there are great and amazing projects that are going to live through the crypto winter and go on to significantly outperform even what we've put in this current bull market, Crypto winter is a good thing. It gets rid of the garbage. It gets rid of the losers. It gets rid of the individuals that are out there. You know, hustlers tend to kind of disappear in that area, and you're left with individuals who can actually consistently make profit or are here for the long run. And again, let me explain something. The bear market is when you want to begin accumulating your positions for the long term. That is the moment in time when you can make the peak amount of profit. It's the highest maximum point of opportunity. When there's blood in the streets, you should be buying, right? So if Bitcoin does break here and we start descending down to the $35,000 level, or God forbid, the $24,000 level, likely with a little bit of a wick below it, maybe even to scare people. Those are going to be the times when you want to begin accumulating your positions for the long run. All right, that's the point. That's the point. So these cycles typically last anywhere from 18 months to 2 years. So that is the time to exercise your trading strategy, be able to extract profit from the market, and take that profits once we're in those peak moments of optimum buying opportunities and begin rolling them into long-term investments so that you are prepared for those large gains, those big, huge swing movements on the weekly and monthly timeframes when they do occur. All right. So for those of you guys who want to become crypto millionaires or want to become what crypto thousandaires or whatever you want to do, or you want to make your living off of cryptocurrency or investments, you have to understand the swings of the market, the moments of opportunity in the markets, and kind of the turning points in the market. Now, again, could be in a pullback, and we're going to see continuation of this bull market moving into January and February 2022, which was, again, originally my expectation. But I want you guys to be prepared to hold the quality investments that you have through the down cycle and find those peak moments of opportunity. The reason why I say that, why should you hold during the bear market? If they're your long-term investments, the reality is that if you sell right now, you're likely not going to buy them back. You're going to end up buying back likely at a higher price than when you sell right now, when you actually get confirmation. You guys can study the market cycles, the psychology of the market cycles, right? The denial, all that. But, you know, the denial or the belief of a fake rally is almost always what happens, right? You see the asset prices go down, you see all this bad news, you stop seeing all the pumps, you stop seeing all the gains. And then when price actually gets down to these low, great opportunity levels, you don't buy. Right? You like maybe you spent your capital or you've lost at high leverage trading. So yeah. Anyways, keep that in mind. All right, moving on from that bigger picture there for Bitcoin, let's move on to the daily time frame. Here we are on the daily time frame. Again, Bitcoin has been descending in this relatively tight channel. And again, we get this nice bullish engulfing candle following two long wicks to the downside, this nice doji candle, which I was pretty excited about. And here we are up at resistance and we're forming a doji. So Bitcoin is stalling out here on the daily. Of course, what do we want to see? We want to see Bitcoin break above this daily baseline. Start, just rocketing off. That's what we want. But there's some important stuff going on here. We have the 200 period exponential moving average, the daily 200 EMA, which again, I wanted to point that out. Here is the previous pull down, so we can correlate that with the weekly. So here's the here's the previous pull down. This is going to be May 21. We get to the 55 EMA. Let's go back on the daily. Scrolling back over here. We can see here that on that same movement, we go underneath and consolidate underneath the 200 exponential moving, the 200 EMA, all right? And then when we break back above it, we have a slight pullback, rally up, pull back to the 200 EMA again, and then off to the races, okay? So it is a possibility that we are seeing this in reverse right now. So here is the previous area of the market where we had continuation of the bull market. And this might be, again, the kind of big trend shift where we start moving into that down cycle. Now, that's not what I currently see in the market, so that's not really what I'm expecting, but I want to be prepared for it. And I want to talk about both possibilities before they happen so that individuals aren't worried, aren't scared, and are like, wow, well, why didn't you see this coming? Okay. So what I mean by that is, okay, so we're below this daily baseline that occurred back here on the 16th of November, 2021. So we can see the 26 period Donchian is going to be an absolute murderer. I talked about this baseline multiple times. 60 Hall is also very popular. 60 EMA is also very popular. It just depends on the size of the swings and the kind of trading strategy that you're implementing or the sensitivity, most specifically, of your indicators. All right, so we get down all the way here. You can see here that every time we've come up to retest the 26 period Donchian, we're just unable to break above it. And here we are again at a relatively critical moment. We can see all our EMAs kind of moving down with us as well. We talked about that death cross potentially coming in as well. Now, here's what I want to see on the daily. I want to see this 9 period Hall moving average. I want to see this close above the 20 period. This is the 20 period simple moving average right here. Any of those would be good to see. And Bitcoin also reclaiming the 200 period moving average would be well. So again, we talked about those levels on the weekly being about 52,000. Here on the daily, they're really coming in at about, so we've got our, let's go down to our baseline. Our baseline's coming in at 49,338. So we do want to see a nice daily close above that level. That's also going to be right around where our 200 period moving average is at about 49,829. So however you want to slice it, if you want to call 50,000 a psychological level, that's kind of what we need to reclaim to see Bitcoin begin moving up. And then we can see right here, we're going to have resistance in the form of the 55 and the 100 period moving average right around that $53,000 mark. So we could see a rally up to those levels as well. Then we could see a pullback, reclaim the 200 period moving average. And then that's what I'd want to see for a continuation of the bull market. That's what I'd want to see for a continuation of the bull market. Our rejection right here is not going to be the greatest thing. Likely we're going to come back down to the very least and retest these lows. If we make a higher low here, that's still good. Remember that we still have divergence. We're going to look at that here in a little bit, playing out on the daily time frame. Depending on whatever momentum oscillator you want to look at. RSI, we've had RSI divergence here for quite a while. QQE mod divergence is coming in. MACD histogram divergence is coming in. Our proprietary indicators are showing divergence as well, both with Minx, which is kind of tracking the RSI divergence, and also time transformation, which is showing us hidden bullish, regular bullish divergence here in this level. Yes. Okay, cool. So we talked about all that. All right. So positive signs coming in. Again, also I talked about this earlier, but I didn't really explain why. The NVT ratio, the NVT signal, is oversold. The NVT signal has been historically a great bottom signal for Bitcoin, and that is firing right now. Okay. So depending on, yeah, actually, I'm not going to go down that route. So, all right, let's bring up and talk about our indicators here right now. Again, not a lot of activity, not a lot of interest coming in here from volume. We do have falling volume. Falling volume is almost typically bearish. So this would be kind of indicative of a pullback and not an ability to break through. Again, Bitcoin's very volatile, and we can't see a big explosion of volume come in at any moment and put in that big greenie, which we saw just a few days ago. But again, nothing overly impressive. Again, the kind of things that I do want to point out, though, is also the lack of volume being able to push price to the downside. So I'm not seeing any indication that we're going to break yet. Wadatar explosion is beginning to flip bullish right here. We do have a lowering volatility. We can see that explosion level falling down, and we can see those green columns, what we call green or positive delta, starting to come in here as well. So another push above, and we can have a long signal coming in here from Wadatar explosion, our confirmation indicator. Time transformation, as I pointed out, is showing that regular bullish divergence that is now played out. And we're also going to be crossing the zero line, which is going to be a shift in trend, a signal for a shift in trend here on the time transformation indicator. And we can see Minx tracking along with that as well. We can see this divergence in Minx. So here's the bullish divergence from Minx right here. As price is going down, Minx begins moving up. And as you guys can see here, a very good signal from Minx, where Minx has now recovered from the oversold territory as well. So typically a good buy signal. This is not a trend shift indicator. This is just an indication of market lows and market highs. So Minx is indicating that we are recovering from a market low. Potentially we're going to move up here and test resistance. Again, where would those levels be if we do end up breaking the first? I would first have my eyes on the $52,000, $53,000 area. Pull back to the 200 EMA would be fantastic to see at that point. And then again, reclaiming that 55 and continuing to push on upwards. That's what I would love to see for bullish continuation of Bitcoin. All right, let's look at Ethereum as well. Okay, Ethereum on the weekly. So Ethereum on the weekly here is kind of interesting. We are still in a bullish uptrend. We're still holding the 26 period weekly Donchian right here. But as we can see, the 9 period Hall moving average is potentially about to close below the 20 period simple moving average here as well. Okay, so those two things in conjunction, right? So we've got kind of that quick and medium term moving average length, which is which is a great trading signal. You guys can use that. I talk about in the CC EMA tutorial video. But again, we can see when let's go back here. I drew that wrong. Let's take that circle and just put it right here. Here's the previous time that the 9 period Hall crosses over the 20 period simple moving average and leads to a fantastic rally in Ethereum. And let's go back and look at when they crossed underneath. We did have about 2 months of downside right there. Again, didn't move all the way down. We were able to be supported by the 55 period weekly moving average there, but not a huge trade, not a huge short trade. But again, we were in the midst of a bull cycle as well. Continuing to make higher lows on the weekly time frame for Ethereum, continuing to make higher highs. So the most awesome thing that could happen here is that this is where Ethereum finds support, that this reverses, that this is a great pullback buy opportunity, which currently it is. And you have a pretty tight margin of error where we're at 4,013 and a short break below basically 4,000. Although you would really want to be a little bit more hesitant and wait for that 3,500 here as well to take that short down to the 55 period moving average. Let's talk about those key levels to the downside. support in the form of the 55 weekly EMA coming in at let's find here. $2,809. We have our 100 period exponential moving average at 2,073. And again, what I would consider the low of Ethereum's price, should we enter into the crypto winter, is going to be down here at 1,328. So again, these are key levels that continue to be held over and over again, even in the midst of bull and bear cycles. So, and again, just look how overextended, if we look on the weekly timeframes, we can see these we can just see that pullbacks are not bad. All right. Pullbacks are not bad. They set up these rallies. Okay. Although they're painful to sit through, right? They set up these very long-term, beautiful rallies. Okay. Let's go down to the daily and talk about current trading strategy. So Ethereum has already pulled back to the 200 exponential period moving average on the daily time frame. It's continued to hold it. That is down at 3,500. Okay. So again, there, we talked about that weekly break, the weekly baseline, kind of the weekly 26 period Donchian is right there at that $3,500 level. And we have the Ethereum daily 200 exponential, the daily 200 EMA right there at that $3,500 level as well. So again, Alexander was talking about a short break of Ethereum below 4,000. I think the longer trend could be confirmed at 3,500 as well. And again, Ethereum looking very much like Bitcoin here. We do have the 9-period haul underneath the 20-period simple moving average, and we are below the daily 26-period Donchian here as well. Again, we do have time transformation crossing the zero line here, signaling a potential shift in trend. We do have we do have Minx, which showed a little bit of no bullish divergence here from Minx because we weren't actually able to form a lower low on that low. And we have not actually reached the oversold levels on Minx. No bullish indication from volume. In fact, falling volume as we push up on this rally. Not the greatest thing to see, honestly. And again, although we can see volatility dying down from Wadatar, here's just a little baby positive delta and just nothing super important coming in from there. So Bitcoin and Ethereum have been relatively boring to trade. Really, the volatility has been, again, and I talked about this, Bitcoin and Ethereum moving sideways. Altcoins are going to perform well. I said that a week ago. I've continued to say that for a week, and we can see these altcoins up 50%, if not more. All right. Okay. So that's kind of the big market outlook. Honestly, the most likely thing that's looking, the most likely thing that we're seeing here is likely a rejection from these levels of resistance. That means if you guys are wanting to trade in the direction of the overall trend, daily trend is right now to the downside on both Bitcoin and Ethereum. So you guys can put on your reversal shorts at these areas, set a relatively tight stop loss above the local pivot high, which is going to be somewhere right around here. For Ethereum, we're going to be talking about 4,178. And for Bitcoin, we're going to be talking about, either you could use 50,956, you could also use 52,000, 53,000, and then use an early exit signal of price crossing and closing above whatever your daily baseline is. If it's below 26 period Donchian, you could also wait for that cross up. Again, I do want to point this out. Right, we do have this haul, that's 9-period haul, moving very close to that 20-period simple moving average, which has historically been a fantastic trending signal. So watch that, use your baseline, and just use that early exit signal, and then wait for the pullback to get long. Okay. But again, we can just see that this strategy has worked out pretty well. Anytime Bitcoin's price comes up to the 200 EMA, taking the short, loading back on the pullback, loading back on the pullback. And again, here we are loading back on the pullback. So we've got a pretty interesting area here, Bitcoin locked in a value area. You want to watch volume and you want to watch breaks relatively closely here, okay? As I talked about, volatility is getting tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. When volatility gets very tight, price does break, okay? Right now we are on the upside. So ideally you're looking for price to break to the upside, which would be the best possible scenario for everybody. But we can stay locked in this range for a little bit more, have another pullback. If we form a higher low, I'd use that opportunity to get long and look for the next pullback or look for the next breakout potential. Otherwise, again, it is probably just trading strategy wise, it's likely not, it is a good statistical idea here to look for the short, to take the short against resistance, and then use a relatively tight stop loss. Otherwise, again, if your system is saying something different, if your system is saying that we are breaking out here, then you need to do what your system is telling you. That's the way that you make money long term, is not by listening to some dude on YouTube. It's by following your trading strategy, right? And I can show you how to build one, but you're ultimately the one who has to trade it yourself. Okay, let's get over here into... All right, so let's look at the super duper DEMA strategy on a couple different time frames, and I'm going to pull up Discord as well as the live trading sheets and see what signals have been generated here. Okay, so as we pointed out, the super duper DEMA strategy, which is running on the 3-hour time frame, did go long on Bitcoin. Ooh, we got a nice signal there. Did go long on Bitcoin, still currently long. You guys can see that right here. Here's the 3-hour time frame. No divergence, which would be kicking us out of the trade. And again, we're long here, and that trade is in a little bit of profit. Again, we rallied up, didn't hit the take profit target, but we're still there. Failure on this trade would come with a close below 47,000, but again, still looking overall good. Let's see here. No short signals for Bitcoin here, obviously. The previous 45-minute Ethereum long signal did close out successfully. And we are actually in another, let's see here. Let's go look at the chart. Ethereum USD. We're going to go to the 45-minute time frame. And as you guys can see here, we are, it doesn't seem right. USD. Yeah, so here's the previous 45-minute Ethereum long signal. You can see we hit the take profit target right here, right at the local highs. And I do have the 50-50 profit taking strategy here. So the way this would have been executed is that you would have entered here, you would have taken 50% of your position off here, and then you would have exited the other 50% of your position. It seems like we hit the break-even stop loss here, unfortunately. Yeah, because that was on the same candle. We broke the super trend. All right, so nothing, but I do have, oh, because that's a 3-hour long. Excuse me, I apologize. All right, so we can see here that on the 3-hour time frame, we are also long as well, and a little bit of drawdown here on the 3-hour. But again, here's the 3-hour 200 double exponential moving average, which is our dynamic level of support and resistance. We are currently above it. We are above the super trend, so failure on this trade would come all the way down here at 3,848. So just nice, tight, looking for that breakout trade here as well. So let's see what happens. Let's go look at our altcoin signals. We've just got a sea of green here. Successfully closed position on Matic USDT, successfully closed position on ICP, successfully closed position on Link. Just really killing it. Let's go through and look at those. Those are on the 45-minute time frame. So let's go look at Link USDT here on the Bybits. Here we go. Long signal taken all the way down here, catching the long exit here. Again, 50-50 profit taking strategy. So this trade is still active. If price does end up pulling back here to 19,967 or 697, we'll be exiting this position, but we're also set up. I do want to kind of point out the bearish divergence coming in here on the QQE mod 45 minutes. So again, this pullback's not crazy to see. Could see price coming back here to retest the 19 level super trend, or maybe all the way down to 19,302 here with the 200 period double exponential moving average. But overall, the trend is still to the upside. Again, we do see a little bit of a reversal signal here, so this pullback is to be expected. So good idea to book some profits on that long trade and wait for the next setup on Link if you guys are still in that. Let's go look at ICP USDT. Again, similar, getting into the trend right here, taking initial profits right here, and then pull back and exiting the long position here. Now, if ICP breaks above 2409 here and we really rally well, then we're going to have a continuation signal. But again, I just want to point out as well, look at this bearish divergence, right? Oh, not notes. Not that. Yes, I really do want to delete that. I don't want the notes. Get out of here. So we can see here price makes a higher high, oscillator makes a significantly lower high. So again, and now we're below the super trend above the DEMA, so we need to break above that. So we could see a continued pullback here on ICP as well as the rest of the altcoins, kind of hinting again, these are just responding to Bitcoin hitting resistance and stalling out as well. So again, kind of could see a 6% pullback here on ICP, still maintaining the bullish bias if that happens, but we won't be in an active long. So I would recommend booking profits on that ICP trade for you guys who might still be in that position. Let's go back and look at the last successful one as well. We'll go back to Matic USDT, 45-minute time frame, getting into the long position here at the beginning of the trend. Let's see here. Actually, sorry, getting into the long position here, booking initial profits here, and here we have still that position is still long. We need to close below $2.47. That's going to be a great trade from the super trend strategy, 13% profit on that. But again, let's just point out the bearish divergence coming in here, guys. Bearish divergence here on the lower time frame. So again, pullbacks to be expected on Matic. And yeah, so I would again look to book those profits if you guys are still in that position. All right, let's go back here and look. So we've got a successfully closed short on Loop Ring, 45-minute time frame. That seems to be the last position that the super duper DEMA took. That would have been right here. So this this short position. booking profits right here, and then break even stop loss for the other half of the position, flipping long on that same, the next candle actually, booking profits right here, and that trade has now closed. So again, what do we see here? We got a little bit of type C divergence. So we've got an equal high. This is really not what we want to see. This is not really, type C divergence can lead to a little bit of a rally. So I could see loop ring moving up here to about $2.38, $238.95. So a little 6% rally on loop ring. But I would be flat on loop ring right now. And again, here's that interesting to see. Here's that bearish divergence that came in there at the top. And we got that pretty significant pullback on loop ring. Loop ring's been rallying pretty hard relatively lately. All right, we did have an unsuccessful trade on Mana, and it does seem like we just hopped into an AVAX short here on the 45-minute time frame. All right, so you guys can see the AVAX short right here. AVAX was rallying. If we switch this to aggressive, right? If we switch this to aggressive, you guys can see here's the long entry. We actually hit, we do take advantage of this long trend right here, but using the regular settings for the super duper strategy, unfortunately, we do miss this on AVAX. However, we are into the short here right now. No divergence that we should be worried about. We've broken the 200 DEMA, and we've also broken the super trend. So this strategy is going to be short with a failure point at 126.720. All right, so that signal's just active, just posted today, 40 minutes ago. So this is a fresh signal. All right, give you guys an update on some got some love, the smooth love potion. Hopefully that works out. Let's see here. All right, so going to some personal trades of mine. I did call for AVE. AVE USDT, took the long position on AVE. And let's see here. AVE, we entered at 181.35. We now have hit our first take profit at 201.46. Next take profit is going to be, there it is, sorry. Next take profit is going to be up here at 242.90. Yeah, 242.90. And so you guys want to make sure that you book your stop loss to break even. Again, here's our entry, had a little bit of a pullback, and then great rally here from AVE. So nice 13, I think maybe 13, 14. Let me go look here. Yeah, so our AVE position is currently up 17%, and Polkadot's currently up about 12% as well. All right, so AVE USDT hitting the first take profit. So again, move those stop losses to break even. And DOT, you guys can see the trade set up here. Entered this one on the lows due to the divergence and the green dots of life coming in here on the daily. Again, we are pushing back up. One nice thing that I want to point out on AVE is, again, here's that trending signal. You can see the 9-period moving Hall moving average crossing above that 20-period simple moving average. And here is price also crossing above the 26-period Donchian. So it is quite possible that we are seeing AVE completely change trend. This is exactly what AVE would indicate. Now, we're not getting from WADA, TAR, or MINX, the traditional signals. Time transformation had already indicated that we could go long on this. But just again, this in and of itself, a fantastic trading strategy. If you guys have not taken advantage of the CCEMA CCEMA system. Okay, so updates on Polkadot, updates on AVE. Let's go and look for. Okay, let's just check out. I'll show you guys. No, this is not. Here we go. That. Okay. Let's talk about the DWAP, VWAP double bounce strategy, guys. I have coded in the divergence, and have been trading this pretty frequently. I've been putting in at about 2 hours a day on this strategy. Really enjoy it, making good profits from it. Talked about this before. $10,000 in the Bybit account, utilizing 5x leverage for each position. That's a $50,000 trade per swing on average. My stop losses tend to be about 0.5%, which is going to be a 2.5% loss to the account. If it is up to 1%, that's going to be a 5% loss on the account. So I can lose 20 times at max risk. But again, this strategy wins anywhere from 60 to 70% of the time. So I have been continuing to employ it. I just absolutely love it. Now, the way that I've got it, I don't have it fully automated yet. I'm still working on the Pine script, as you guys can see here. I've got the, and again, huge shout outs to Kamano Trade for helping me with with the initial implementation of this code. I do have it in a strategy tester now. I'm not seeing the results that I want, but I know there's some errors still in the logic. So I'm going to get that cleaned up hopefully over the next week and get this ready for production and actually automation. But right now, just manually trading this is good. And again, the key thing here that kind of differentiates this, the reason that I know that I'm having more success manually trading is my identification of divergence, right? The way, like, again, that's still the sticking point for the strategy logic code here is getting that divergence just perfect so that it's actually telling me what I want. So as we can see here, the green X is here indicating that we have the conditions ready for entry, which is lows less than the VWAP standard deviation band 2 to the downside. We do not, as we can see here, we don't have divergence here because we don't have a new lower low. And here is where we actually get our trigger. Magnet mode off, sorry. We have a lower low on price. And if we go to that low and measure, we have a higher high, lower high, higher low on the oscillator. So there's our bullish divergence. Here is our entry candle. We wait for the first green Heikin-Ashi candle, and then we use 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio, and then, 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio for our first 50% of our position, and then 2-to-1. So again, we can just see an absolute banger candle right here, banger trade right there. This is on Ethereum USDT. So just being patient, waiting for these setups. Again, these tend to occur around 6 to 7 o'clock in the morning Mountain Standard Time. So that's going to be 7, 8 o'clock in the morning Central Standard Time, and 8 to 9. So again, pretty much stock market open. We start to see those initial rallies. So you're going to have to wake up a little bit early and execute the strategy, or just be a little patient. You can use divergence. You can also use hidden bullish divergence or hidden bearish divergence. Lots of ways to make the strategy execute and perform. Okay, so we don't have so interesting to point out here on Ethereum USDT. We do have a little bit of bullish divergence coming in here on the lower time frames. We've got a lower low in price and a higher low on the oscillator. Looking at Ethereum, we can see that we have a range low of about 3,944, and we've got a range high target of about 4,073. So we've had a nice rally here intraday after price kind of slumped following yesterday's daily close. So here's yesterday's daily close. That's when the VWAP resets, and we just kind of went sideways for a while. I mean, overall, obviously there was a good trade here, good trade here, decent trade here, banger trade here, good trade here. And then again, here's the double VWAP actually bounce strategy right here. Actually, interesting enough, here's the conditions for trade entry. Here's the green Heikin-Ashi bar, but note the lack of divergence, and we don't really form a lower low. So here's the previous low. Here's the new low, no divergence there to see, and you can see the follow through is just not fantastic. We're just rejected by the VWAP. We travel back down to that lower VWAP band. But we might be setting up for a nice secondary rally here. Price has come down, is forming a higher low than the previous low put in today by the market. So I would be watching this for a green Heikin-Ashi candle. If I were to take a trade like this, I would be using less risk because we don't have the full conditions for the trade, but still a potential setup. All right, so looking at BTC as well, let's look at BTC USDT over here on Bybit. These are my two favorite. Charts to trade. We've got basically the same thing. We have a lower low on price. We have a higher low on our QQE mod momentum oscillator. All right, price pretty low to the vicinity. New pivot lows being formed. So again, could be a potential trade here. We have a range low here on Bitcoin of 48,479, a range high of 49,000. So again. Could be a nice banger trade coming here, 1.72% around on Bitcoin, and a little bit more on Ethereum, I'm sure. Yeah, but twice as much on Ethereum as is usually the case. All right, let's just scroll through here real quick and see if we see any other altcoinity setups. Just real quick. AVAX. Okay, so unfortunately, we don't have any bullish divergence here on AVAX, although we are in kind of that trade entry area. This would have been, if there was divergence, this would have been the entry candle. Unfortunately, again, we just don't see any divergence. We see convergence. So, and looking at the fact that the meso time frame, a super duper DEMA strategy shorted this, I would be want to long this. Again, you can still get those profit opportunities. This is lower time frame. This is scalping. There's still opportunities there, but yeah. So that's the only one so far that I see setting up for an actual VWAP double bounce trade. Bitcoin Cash. executed a good short there. BNB USDT. We already talked about Bitcoin. Nothing from Seller, nothing from Chili's. Actually, so here's a beautiful setup. Here is here's the previous high, bearish divergence coming in from Chili's. Higher high in price. We wait for the first red Heikin-Ashi bar. Right here would have been our trigger candle, and this would still be an active short. So looking for a profit target of 28,640. Oh, sorry, that's not quite right. Sorry. 1-to-1. All right, 28,505 for our first TP, which is going to be basically just a repeat of the VWAP or a retest of the VWAP. So that would still be an active signal. Compound. Nothing. A little bit of weak type C divergence here. So could see a little small rally here back up to the standard deviation line from Compound. Let's see here. Curve Finance been in a downtrend here, and Curve Finance is a great top performer. I could see I am seeing obviously a good bounce here from Curve coming back down to this previous market low. No real divergence to speak of here, just a very strong downtrend. Doge double bounce from Doge with again a little bit of type C divergence here. Well, let's look at HBAR, Hedera hash graph. It's been a relatively popular one. A little bit of bullish divergence coming in here from HBAR. Yeah, slightly lower low and a higher low, sorry, on the oscillator. So seeing some divergence coming in here on HBAR. Could see a push up from HBAR here over the next hour or two. Let's go look at Sand and Shiba Inu, and then I think we're going to go to, okay, nothing here from Sand. Let's see here. A little bit of bullish divergence coming in here from Shiba Inu right at the VWAP line. So we could see a little small rally here from Shiba Inu. And let's go check out ZERP, which has been kind of popular and talked about lately. Nothing really attractive coming in here from ZERP, unfortunately. Been a scary one, but yeah. So here's it would have been a bit of a scary one, but this was a great play. So here's that higher high in price. Here's that bearish divergence on the on the QQE mod. We wait for the first red Heikin-Ashi candle. Enter short, and targeting 1-to-1. Let's see. Gonna get there. We're just gonna go with that. Get a couple more ticks. Yeah, as you guys can see, I've been a scary one, right? You would have got it. Okay. All right. So that wraps up kind of the daily look for day trades and setups. Again, kind of the only thing I saw there. Is that AVAX? No, not AVAX. We were looking at Curve. No. Yeah. Hedera Hashgraph. Kind of the only, this one is probably the most attractive day trade setup that I see here coming in from Hedera Hashgraph. So you could wait for the first green Heikin-Ashi bar, set your stop loss right here at the swing low. Actually, it'd be right here at 32595, and then target 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. So, yeah, pretty easy peasy, guys. Actually, see what we're kind of looking at here. All right. And some nice divergence on the wave trend oscillator here as well. It's a good thing we want to wait for a green Heiken HBAR, huh? All right. Looking for another setup. No. No. A bit of bullish, nah. No, not really. That's type C. I want it to be nice and strong. Oh, there we go. Not the divergence that we want to see. So this would be what I call a false short from THETA. It is. It's not Friday, bro. It is Wednesday. It is Wednesday. Okay. All right, let's go through. I want to go do some audience engagement here now. And then we will look at maybe a couple charts. Get BTC USDT up here. And let's see here. All right, let's see here. All right, let's scroll through the chat and take a look at your questions here real quick. Willy Woohoo. Moonshine Fuel says, let's see what we're talking about here. Okay, hold on. So you're talking about Matic. I think you're referring to Matic. Yeah, so you're referring to the Matic USDT signal that was closed out in the Discord. It just runs automated. So if it has a set TP level, depending on how you're using the strategy. You could have, if you're using all in, all out, it'll wait for the exit signal, which is price crossing across the other side of the super trend. Otherwise, if you're using 50-50 profit taking strategy, it'll take 50% off at TP1, and then the other 50% will be exit on, again, that same signal, price crossing the other side of the super trend. That allows, so what's nice about that is that when you get a nice big trend, you're able to capture the majority of the move because you have to wait for price to pull back down a little bit before you actually exit the trade, meaning that your upside remains uncapped as long as price continues to trend. And again, if you use the 50-50 profit taking strategy in any trading system, as opposed to all in, all out, you will almost always make more money, but at the offset of reduced hit rate. Crypto Rick asks, what is currently my favorite strategy I'm using out of VWAP bounce, super trend, or your usual daily baseline strategy? Well, my daily strategy gets me into the significant moves. And I would say that overall, that's what makes me the most amount of money. So I like that the best. I've been using it for a long time. The super trend strategy is very good. It catches good trends on the meso time frame charts, on the meso time frames, and just is a good addition. And it seems to do well when and capture profits when my daily strategy hits a snag or hits areas of the markets. There's times in the markets where my daily strategy just doesn't perform well. There's months that I have drawdown. This is just going to be true of any trader who's actually a serious trader. But I really like the double VWAP bounce strategy. It's been performing really, really well. I'm just kind of, excited about it. It's new, it's shiny. I'm playing with it right now. It performs really well in sideways areas of the markets or anytime that we're kind of locked in a range. So it's been working very well on Bitcoin, but it also works pretty well in trends. It catches good tops and bottoms, local tops and bottoms anyway. So. All right, so hey, listen, guys, I'm gonna have to jet here in just a second. Unfortunately, as you guys know, my daughter's still home from school, and it is going to be nap time here in any minute. So we got to do lunch and nap time, and then I'm going to finish up my programming for the day. So I am going to randomly select one of these requests to look at here real quick. I see KP3R from Alex1233. So Keeper. I'm not sure if I can see that on. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So let's look at Keeper. Don't have a lot of data on the daily time frame. We do have our 26 period Donchian here, and we do have our 9 Hall and our 20 period simple moving average, and we are breaking above that. Volume is positive, and time transformation, which has been running since the cycle began over here, is positive as well. So we kind of have all the indications of a potential shift in trend, right? So this is going to be typically a long signal from Keeper. So just tracking the highs here, you guys can see that we broke that uptrend, tried to break it here, but we were rejected by the 20 period simple moving average. And here we are actually breaking above it. All right. So this could be a shift in trend. This is kind of the initiation. We're bringing that 26 period Donchian here on the daily as well. So overall, this does look pretty good. Now let's go down to the 4 hour, get a little bit more data. So we did reject here on the 4 hour at the 200 period exponential moving average. But overall, things are relatively good here. We can see higher highs and higher lows. So likely pullback zone for Keeper here is going to be around 840.55, if not 789.19. And then we'll see if we can't push back up, retest that 200 and break above it. I would hold off on the entry right now. I'd wait for a little bit more of a sustained pullback and then wait for kind of a good, and we also have the exit signal coming in right now on the 4 hour from time transformation. Here's the regular bearish divergence here. Here's hidden bearish divergence in the exit signal from time transformation here. So nailing it pretty good. So again, we've got a kind of a nice uptrend channel right here. That's what I would be trading on this particular asset. Wait for that nice pullback and then kind of target that 200 exponential moving average again. So again, looking for that buy-in around the 839 to 785 area and then targeting that next move up. a 22% move up if we do have a nice pullback and then continuation of the trend. So. More power. Okay. All right, guys, that is it for today. Let's switch over to this and have a quick chat. All right, so we went over trade requests. Okay, so I want to obviously wish you guys. I am going to be doing the show tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be an interesting day. Tomorrow's going to be the 23rd, the day before Christmas Eve, the eve of Christmas Eve even. So big shout outs to everybody in the community. I hope that you guys have a fantastic holiday season. Please enjoy the holidays. Please remember to make time for your family and spend time with your family. Don't just stay on the charts all day. Actually remember why you do this for. It's not just to make money, it's to live a more healthy and happy, sustainable life. So definitely, if you guys haven't already, it's not too late. Call the people that you love, call the people that you regret being mean to, or that you wish you had a better relationship with, and just take advantage of this opportunity. I know it's cliched, but seriously, you will have a happier life, and I think you will see a direct result in an improvement in your trading if you just take care of the life clutter that you need to take care of. With that being said, focus on your strategies, guys. This is a tricky area of the market. We see this a lot. Could be a fake out, but we're going to remain positive here. We already talked about likely good strategies for actually positioning yourselves here for Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think that it does make sense for looking for continuation of the uptrend on higher timeframes here for the daily. But if we're just trading the peaks and swings, then I think it's likely to. I think it's very likely to be short here with a tight invalidation zone, and then look for those daily signals to continue or carry on long. All right. With that being said, if you guys are interested in improving your trading strategies and trading more with me and utilizing our proprietary indicators, some of which you've seen on the show today, enrolling in our Pathways to Profit course, which teaches you how to build an objective trading strategy from the ground up. Make sure to check out everything we offer at premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com. Links, as always, to everything you could need in the description below. Check out our link to Bybit and get a 10% discount on your trading fees as well. I think that's probably the most relevant thing down there. If you guys have any questions, concerns, sarcastic remarks, and/or death threats, make sure to leave them in the comments section or hop in the Discord at discord.crackingcryptocurrency.com to keep the conversation going long after the stream has ended. Until next time, I will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time for another episode of Cracking Cryptocurrency Market Update. Until then, trade safely, guys. Cheers.